Got a lot of anticipation for this next one. We're going to be very motivated to obtain the Stranger, the best part of the Acolyte, a flawed but promising show. This is Conquest. Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. We're going to be looking at how to tackle all of these new feats for the next Conquest, number 21, the Stranger. These videos do tend to attract a lot of new viewers to the channel, so I do want to touch upon my philosophy and approach to Conquest because it does inform the types of recommendations I'm making. I'm not going to cover every possible squad because a lot of them are inefficient, and efficiency is paramount to how I approach this. I want to accomplish as many feats simultaneously as possible. I am looking to complete as many feats as I can in a single run through the sector, all of them if possible, and I'm willing to do that by dropping stars. I don't care about stars as much. I can always come back if I need them. Low stars is possible. You should be maximizing every new character up to gear 11 or gear 12 if your resources allow it. These days that is way easier than it's ever been, but I have been red creating every single Conquest since the beginning. These days my roster's developed enough to where it's not as much of an issue, but in the past, no problem using gear 11 characters. Don't let that dissuade you from getting a red crate. You can do it. We're going to build disc combos that are going to be very strong. We're going to be looking out for those over the next week. I'll be putting out videos that show the types of disc combos that I'm building, and cheesing is something I don't care about because a lot of cheesing involves losing a node on purpose, which means you are not progressing through the sector and you are losing out on your energy. I'm only doing it if it is required. Normally, you're able to just spread out all of that progress throughout a sector, so it's not an issue. And in the case of this Conquest, there is no cheese necessary. Global feats are going to be extremely easy this time around. We do not need to go out of our way for a single one of them. We have 100% overlap on each global except for the title feat. So we're not going to talk about specific squads right now. I'll just mention each global as they occur with the sector feats. But the globals that we have are defeat 250 enemies, win 20 battles with at least 4 dark side clone troopers, attempt to inflict evasion down 80 times, 20 battles with a full squad of Galactic Republic, evade at least 200 attacks, and gain profit 100 times. Before we start tackling feats, the big theme of this Conquest is going to be pirates. So we want to be fielding multiple pirate squads. That way we can spread out that stamina burn. We want to be utilizing one squad throughout a sector and then using a different squad in the next sector so that the previous squad can have the time to recover some stamina so that we can use them in the subsequent sector. This is going to be a whole lot easier if you have Maz Kanata, because that gives us another strong leader. It's going to be even easier if you have Pirate Hondo. I don't. But this way, with those characters, you can be leaning on some good leaders, which is going to be a little bit harder if you don't have either of them. So you should be making it a priority to both unlock Pirate Hondo and Maz Kanata, with Maz Kanata probably being the easier one since most of us are going to be pretty far along. I have Maz Kanata, but you should always be trying to red crate every single time because conquests do build on themselves. You are making the next conquest easier by red crating. Now for our Sector 1 feats, we have attempt to inflict stagger 60 times, win 10 battles with a full squad of tanks, 10 battles with Brutus surviving, and attempt buff immunity 40 times. We can also tackle the global feat of evasion down. We might even be able to do it in this sector alone because the pirates are going to trivialize that feat, but there's also going to be other squads that we'll talk about that are going to be able to help you along with that evasion down global. These are the squads we'll be leaning on for the Sector 1 feats. Each of these squads accomplishes multiple feats simultaneously, the most important two being the two at the top. This is my pirate squad and our full tank squad where we need to win 10 battles with each of them. They also accomplish buff immunity, stagger, and the global feat of evasion down. But the one caveat here is Brutus is going to get so depleted in stamina at some point he's not realistically going to be surviving the battles anymore, and at that point we're going to need to swap over to Balin's Skull or Jedi Master Mace Windu, who are going to be effective leaders accomplishing multiple feats, and we're going to have to return to Sector 1 later to finish off the Brutus feat. Hopefully we can get to like 50% though. This is the pirate squad I'm hoping to use, but Sana's actually a terrible pirate leader. She's intended for a rebel scoundrel, so if she doesn't work, we're going to forget about it and we're just going to use Ethano. We have enough time to use Ethano because he's not actually going to be required until Sector 4. We don't want to use Maz though because Maz is going to be needed in Sector 2. So we have enough time for stamina to recover on Ethano. But if we can use Sana, Sana is actually going to be a little bit better because she has a conditional AoE stagger, but the problem is it's only able to inflict stagger on enemies who have target lock. And the only way to get target lock is through her leadership ability when either she crits or a Rebel Scoundrel ally crits. So that's going to be slow going, but it could inflict stagger a couple times per battle, so we will try to make this work. Then Enfys Nest is going to help out with buff immunity on the first special sudden impact. Brutus isn't going to be helping us with any of the other feats. Silva, though, has another stagger with the first special, but is actually going to help out a ton with the global feat Evasion Down with his basic ability, where we can just lean on his basic to make a lot of progress throughout the battle, and that'll add up quickly throughout the sector. Same with SM33. This has a targeted buff immunity with the second special, but the important part is the basic ability inflicts stagger. So we're just going to be pumping this basic ability throughout the sector. We will make a lot of progress. Our full tank mostly Jedi squad. We have B2 here because B2 has a very consistent AoE buff immunity and he's a tank. He will be one of the most reliable ways to get that buff immunity. The rest, Jedi. Now I have a weak Juhani at gear 12, but Juhani is here because she does have a AoE stagger ability. The only thing to remember here, it's conditional. She has to be stealth for the stagger to work. So don't just use it. Pay attention to when you use it. The other key mechanics, JML, he has buff immunity on his basic ability, so we're going to be leaning on that basic quite a bit as well. And then Obi-Wan has evasion down on basic, so you can use inherited teachings to call a bunch of assists with Obi-Wan, and we're going to make a ton of progress with evasion down on that global. And Mace is just here because he's a tank. Our Balin squad and Jedi Master Mace Windu squad, we're not going to talk about them in detail. We don't really want to use them. We're going to use them if we get stuck on a node that's too hard and the stamina is too depleted on these characters to get through them. These are other options, but they're also going to be able to help out on multiple feats if we need to, or if we're later in a sector and we just need to knock a couple things out and we've already fulfilled the feats for the tanks and Brutus, then we can look at these other options. For the mini boss, we have win with kicks in the squad or win with Jocasta Nu. With kicks in the squad, you can just take your pirate squad and swap in kicks. In that case, I'd probably have Ethano lead, and Jocasta Nu, we are just using a Mace Windu squad. For our final boss, we will be facing Rancor. We have two teams here, win with only using CLS, just a solo CLS. If you've been a long time player, you'll remember the solos that you could do with those squads. These are just two squads that are designed to beat Rancor. Put the Tebow squad in your preset so you don't have to build it each time. It'll save you a little bit of effort. Sector 2 feats, 50 bonus turns, 10 battles with Silvo and Vane surviving, days 40 times, and win 10 battles without losing any units. Now, with the win 10 battles with Silvo and Vane surviving, we probably shouldn't be using Silvo in Sector 1. That's an update I should make. What he was offering with that evasion down on basic and with the stagger with his special, that's kind of slow going, where we were getting that replaced in other places. Well, it'll be a little bit slower, but it's not really going to alter things significantly, especially with Obi-Wan Kenobi also offering that evasion down on basic. It's definitely better to save Silvo for Sector 2. Our Sector 2 squads, we have our Pirate Squad, which has Silvo and Vane. This is really going to be primarily leaned on for those two. It's not going to be super effective at days and bonus turns. It'll be a little bit better at days because of Enfys Nest. Instead, we're going to be relying on either an Empire squad or a Jedi squad to deal with the days and bonus turn feats in this sector. And that's because our bonus turn options is going to be Brutus, who offers bonus turns with Threatening Manner. Whenever he's stealing 2 unique buffs, he gains a bonus turn, which we might be able to use 3 times a battle. The problem is he's going to be depleted on stamina from Sector 1. So if you're playing through this as quickly as I am, he's not going to be usable, especially if you want to win with all characters surviving. The other option is Maz Kanata, and Maz Kanata with unique ability Ancient Wisdom, when all the profit has been removed, she gets a bonus turn, but that's only 1 per battle. It's going to happen, but that's not going to be a reliable way to accomplish that feat. So instead of Brutus here, we can take out Brutus, we can put in Kix or Quaigold, it really doesn't matter at that point. You couldn't use SM33 as well, because SM33 does have a daze and a bonus turn mechanic, but SM33 is probably going to be depleted on stamina at this stage too, so not going to be as an effective option. Bring in Kix for the revive. We do have Nest with an AoE daze on kinetic charge, but this squad's best use should just be focused on winning those 10 battles with Silvo and Vayne. Everything else should be looked at as incidental. Instead, we have a Vader squad and a JMK-led squad to carry the bulk of daze and bonus turns, with Lord Vader being our best option for both, and that is because we have 2 AoE dazes, one with Lord Vader on Unshackled Emotions, the other one with Ninth Sister on Ground Pound, and then we have bonus turns. We have Maul with Seething Rage having a bunch of bonus turns when he has 5 stacks of Anguish, and then of course we have Vader and Merciless Massacre with a bunch of bonus turns as well. So between those 4 characters, we're making a bunch of progress every node we hit on 2 feats. Then we also have Piet, who offers another AoE daze with Suborbital Strike, but this Suborbital Strike I think is more negotiable. We don't necessarily have to use Piet. You could bring in another tank or another option. JMK will work similarly, we're just getting less help. We don't have multiple characters contributing as much. Grandmaster Yoda is of course fantastic with bonus turns, with the Master Stroke giving us those bonus turns multiple times per battle, but the alternate reason to include Yoda here is because of evade on the globals. By throwing around the Foresight, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get the evade feat accomplished. Skywalker is bringing an AoE daze with Force Grip, and we also get a little bit of daze help with Pow. He does it on a targeted with Redirected Blast, and then also Cam, who's going to be boosting the stats of all these Galactic Republic Jedi characters, but also from his unique ability when he uses the Makashi jab, he does have an AoE daze. So this squad will still be pretty good with daze, just not as good with bonus turn, but we do get that side benefit of the global feat being worked on. This squad is also going to be helping us make progress on the Galactic Republic feat. We don't have a ton of opportunities to work on the Galactic Republic feat. That's why it is worth using this one, even though the Empire version is superior. We gotta, if we're trying to truly be as efficient as possible, we gotta be working on that global one, and this is a place to do it. Otherwise, we're probably going to be wrapping up the Galactic Republic global while we're working on Data Crimes. With our mini-boss, we have Pirates and Jedi Master Mace Windu. And in this situation, we'll use Maz Kanata, some version of it, to accomplish that mini-boss feat, and then we'll return to this Mace Windu squad to handle the other mini-boss. Our final boss, we're facing the General Grievous from the old raid, and there we have a specific squad required with Vader, and we have a solo Kylo Ren. But I would recommend that you pre-build that Vader squad to minimize effort in the future. Sector 3 feats: attempt to inflict disarm 15 times, 10 battles with SM-33 surviving, inflict blind 80 times, and defeat 35 enemies with clone troopers. Lord Vader is going to be able to take care of the disarm feat, plus the clone troopers taking out 35 enemies. We should be able to do that pretty quick, but because Vader is also going to be able to help out with the global feat of winning 20 battles with those dark side clone troopers, that is going to be a reason to stick with this squad for a lot of the sector. It's an opportunity to make a lot of headway there. But Lord Vader will be a little depleted potentially from Sector 2 with those bonus turns if you opted with a Lord Vader squad. But if you're careful, maybe not too too much. Now, the big thing here is disarm. This is going to be coming from CX2 and Instruments of the Empire, which doesn't give us too many opportunities per battle to inflict it. We might be able to get 2-3 off per battle if we're careful, and that might mean if there is a disc like the Zealous Ambition, maybe we don't want to apply it on the squad because we don't want to be taking out the enemy too quickly. Our other good option for blind and disarm, it's a little slow, but if we're careful we can also make a lot of progress, is going to be a Jabba squad, because the only other place that disarm appears is on Curzanton's kit. He applies it with Dismember, but it has a big cooldown of 8. You're probably only going to get to use it once per battle. We will, though, if you just spam the basic every chance you get with Jabba, you can inflict a decent amount of blind per battle because he inflicts blind on basic. I used this a lot during the last conquest because this combo of disarm and blind also appeared there. Sector 3 is also where we're going to accomplish a lot of the global feat for evade. Because of the blind that is going around, this is where we're going to see the bulk of that progress completed towards the global. For SM33, we have an Afra squad, and we also have an opportunity here to also include Curzanton for a little bit more disarm, where we can spread that out a little bit. And because of how Afra works with the droid characters, dark side droid characters, this is an opportunity to be able to accomplish this SM33 feat without having to use a pirate squad, giving us an opportunity for a lot of those pirate characters to refresh stamina so that we can use them in Sector 4. And since Curzanton also has that Afra synergy, we're able to tackle multiple feats with this squad, which actually wouldn't be true with pirates, so it's a good reason to actively use this one. What I do want to add to this section is for Sector 3, there's also the option that you could use Qui-Gold to handle the blind fleet if you wanted to use a pirate squad with SM33, because Buccaneer has an AoE blind. But I don't recommend doing that because in Sector 4 you need Qui-Gold. In Sector 5 it would be best to have Qui-Gold. So it's going to be in your interest and benefit to avoid using Qui-Gold's blind during Sector 2. But it does bear mentioning so that you're all aware. And our final option, of course, with blind, this will be a good way to round it out. On other nodes is going to be our CLS, our classic CLS squad with Chupio here, with that AoE blind that we can use a few times per battle. We'll be able to knock off the rest of the feat using this squad. Once SM3 is taken care of, once disarm is taken care of, this will be a good option to clean up that blind. For the mini boss, we have Maz Kanata and Balin, and we have squads already preset from the previous sectors. We have Maz Kanata here. I would just swap in SM33 into the Maz Kanata squad so that we're making progress on both feats there. And then Balin we had as an alternate option in Sector 1 for buff immunity and stagger. Just bring it in as the mini boss team. And the Sector 3 boss, we're going back to the Kenobi raid with the AAT tank with the B1s, and we have Savage Opress as a solo character and Chief Chirpa with several other characters as our other required team. Throw that in your presets. Sector 4 feats: win 10 battles with Qui-Gold surviving, gain evasion up 60 times, win 10 battles with no tanks in the squad, and inflict at least 300 damage over time effects. Sector 4 squads, we have a few options here. We'll be able to lean on Empire and Pirates for the bulk of these. Now as Pirates, I have Ethano, but it could be Maz Kanata, just depending on stamina purposes. It's Ethano for me because I'm going to be playing this quick and I'll be using Maz Kanata in Sector 2. But there is reason to save Ethano for Sector 5. He has a little bit of synergy there that you may want to capitalize on. The rest of the squad is based on who is required. Qui-Gold is required, but he is a tank, so we can't utilize him for the no tank feat. But the evasion up feat will be accomplished through Kix and Vane primarily, and a little bit with Silvo. Kix, on his unique ability, he has an evasion up a mechanic where at the start of his turn, pirate allies below 100% health gain evasion up. That's probably going to happen a decent amount per battle, but we can't really control for it. With Vane, he does it on his first special, but it's conditional, so this isn't going to be a great way either. If his health percentage is lower, he's going to recover health and gain evasion up if his health percentage is lower than the enemy. So it'll happen a few times per battle, but this is still going to be a little bit slow going because these aren't AoEs. SWGOH, he has evasion up synergy. He doesn't actually grant it himself. He'll just be a member of the squad, and he can help with the evasion down on globals if you're still working with that. He's also a candidate, though, to be replaced in the squad for stamina purposes if there's alternates that are going to be better for you. For no tanks, I have two options here. We have a Sith version. The Sith version, we have Vader and Darth Sidious for the AoE dots that they provide. Talon is here for the stat boost. Marauder for the potency that he grants to the field. That might help with the dots a little bit. Our other option is an Empire squad. This is with Palpatine. We have Seventh Sister, who has evasion up on her ability with the enemy intelligence. She has an AoE evasion up, and that is for all allies, not just Inquisitor allies. Vader and Sidious here again, because they have Sith synergy leadership with Palpatine's leadership. Mara Jade is here for the stat boost. You'll notice I'm not using Lord Vader, even though Lord Vader would be one of the best options here, and maybe we should consider it for a couple battles. The problem is we just used Lord Vader in Sector 3, and we're gonna want to use Lord Vader in Sector 5. So this, while being the fastest squad for the damage overtimes, is not going to help with no tank, because we are going to want a full squad of the dark side clones, so we don't have a lot of reason to pull out Scorch from the battle, because doing so would mess up the global feat, so we wouldn't be making any progress there, and the squad loses a whole bunch of synergies, like Apple being unkillable. So there is reason to not use Lord Vader in Sector 4, so that we can save Lord Vader for Sector 5, and give Vader time to recover some stamina from Sector 3. Mini boss feats, we have Pirate Hondo if you have him. I don't. I'll probably have him for the second or third time this conquest appears. And we have win without using any tanks units in the squad. Hopefully we can do this with one of these squads we were already utilizing to try and get through this sector. If not, we just use a GL. We bring in JMK, or we bring in Jabba, some version that doesn't have tanks, and we just punch through with a GL. And the final boss, we have preset, predetermined squads. In this case, we are facing the Gamorrean Guard from the Rancor squad. That was in the data mines. And throw them in your presets, make your life easier. Sector 5 feats, win 10 battles with CX2 surviving, inflict tenacity down 60 times, inflict defense down 60 times, and win 10 battles with a full squad of pirates. Our Lord Vader squad from Sector 3 with the Dark Side clones is going to be our CX2 squad. This also accomplishes the global feat of winning 10 battles with Dark Side clone troopers, and between those two sectors, this one should be handled. And this feat is why we didn't want to use this Lord Vader squad in Sector 4, even though it was the best option to handle all those dots. There might be a reason to do this for a battle during Sector 4, because that's a recoverable amount of stamina, or maybe 2 battles. If you're, depending on how quickly you're going through these sectors, then we will have CX2 not too depleted, and we can really abuse GLs in Conquest. You can let them get really depleted in stamina. So we'll be able to just push through with this squad. Our Sector 5 Pirate Squad, I'm using a Maz lead because Maz is going to make it that much easier. If you don't have Maz, use Ethano. There's going to be a few variations we can utilize here. We have kicks for revives to just add to the overall efficacy of the squad. We could bring in Ethano though, instead of like a character like SM33, because Ethano has some minor synergy where he does inflict defense down with his targeted ability, his first special, but that's only going to be a couple times per battle. It's not a very effective means of applying that defense down. The most important character on this squad is going to be Qui-Gold, but we were using Qui-Gold in Sector 4. We could have used Qui-Gold in Sector 2, so Qui-Gold could be very depleted in stamina at this stage. Qui-Gold is going to be able to inflict defense down on basic, and going to be able to inflict tenacity down and AoE tenacity down through his Buccaneer ability. But stamina may be a major issue. We do want to utilize Qui-Gold if we can. Another option though is we can use Sana Staros, who also has an AoE tenacity down with this ability. And this ability, unlike in Sector 1 when we looked at her, this portion of the ability is not conditional. This will work. After using the Pirates and Lord Vader with the Dark Side clones, any remaining tenacity down and defense down that need to be inflicted can easily be handled with unaligned Force users and Gungans. Both of these squads have multiple ways to inflict these debuffs. Almost every one of these characters will apply at least one of the two, some can do both. And Gungans also have multiple means to apply these debuffs. The mini boss and final bosses, we're not really going to go into those specifically because there's specific teams that are required to be utilized. Just throw them in your presets to make things easier. In the coming days, look for sector by sector breakdown videos. I was actually going to stop doing those because I don't know if they're always worth the effort, especially with how easy Conquest has been recently. But for this Conquest, because of the stamina complexity, I do think it's going to be worth doing. Also, up in the corner, we have a Datacron video. So while we are working through Conquest, just refresh your memory on which Datacrons you want to be targeting, and then I break them down tier by tier how I feel about them. Thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.